Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, more disasters imminent as NEMA warns of more flooding in some northern and southern states in Nigeria as water levels in rivers Niger and Benue continue to rise. Residents of Edo, Jigawa, Bayelsa and Anambra State cry for help as they count their losses for flooding in many of their communities. And ahead of the September 22nd governorship elections in Osun State, candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Moshood Adeoti, continues campaigning. And over 2,000 prisoners get presidential pardon in Rwanda, including a leading critic, opposition figure Victoria Ingabire.
On business news tonight, National Insurance Commission maintains position on insurance sector recapitalization despite court order halting its implementation.
And on sports news tonight, Fight of the Century Part 2 looms as former world welterweight champion Floyd Mayweather announces he will return to fight Filipino Manny Pacquiao this year.
We'll begin tonight with a fresh warning from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on the rise in water levels in River Niger and Benue. The agency says that more flooding is to be expected in the next couple of days in some northern and southern states of the country. Well, according to the Director General of NEMA, the volume of water inflows into the River Niger and River Benue is so huge that the two rivers are now left with a meager capacity to accommodate less than 2 meters of water before they will be forced out of their banks to nearby communities.
On the 7th day of September this year, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, as well as other agencies of government, including the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, raised a red flag about flooding in some states, including Niger, Kogi, Delta, and Anambra. The agency also set up a committee to visit some of these states to assess their level of preparedness to handle emergency situations. The outcome of those visits and their assessment of the situation is the reason why the National Emergency Management Agency is holding this interagency meeting in Abuja. At least there are already 4 states, including Niger, Delta, Kogi, and Anambra, that are grappling with the after effects of heavy flooding. However, there is more urgent need for states across the north and south to brace up for more flooding ahead, as the water levels in River Benue and River Niger continue to rise.
From today to the next 24 hours, 72 hours, there will be continuous rain in the north, the central, and the southern states of Nigeria. Today, the level at the measuring stations at the confluence of River Niger and Benue at Lokoja is 10.98 meters.
Giving advance warning about an impending disaster is one thing, but it's quite another to activate processes that will help to manage the situation should it occur as predicted.
We put up a lot of mitigation processes. Our preparedness is on high level. The state itself and the local government, all the 3 tiers of government are working as a team.
I would also like to announce that operational structure that have a national emergency operations center at the national, domicile in headquarters of NEMA, and 5 zonal emergency operations centers are hereby activated.
Flooding has continued to ravage most states along the River Niger and River Benue coastline, especially since 2012. Dozens of lives and properties have also been lost in most of these incidents. It is, however, hoped that the advance warning issued by NEMA this time around will help to reduce the number of casualties going forward.
Meantime, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has ordered the immediate evacuation of residents of flood-prone areas in Anambra State to designated camps following observations of continued rise of water levels in those areas. The Director for Research, Planning and Forecasts of the agency, Mr. Pt.1, raised this alarm when he and his team toured some communities in Anambra East Local Government Area and Obaru Local Government Area. He says that all the indices that manifested in 2012 flooding incidents are obvious except for the release of water from Lado Dam in Cameroon.
A team comprising officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, the Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, Red Cross, Fire Service, Marine Police, among others, are embarking on a journey to some communities experiencing flooding in the state. The team, led by the NEMA Director for Research, Planning and Forecast, Mr. Pt.1, arrive at their destination. But instead of berthing the boat, they keep moving on what was previously the road leading into Obaru Local Government Area, where the team has come to assess the situation. The boat finally berths in between buildings surrounded by flood, and they disembark. Most of the houses have been abandoned as water has taken over.
The flood has destroyed a lot of things in this community. We have fled severally from flood. If the water had seceded, I would have done all I'm supposed to be doing. I wish the flood would go so we can rest.
The next community, Enugu Otu Aguleri in Anambra East Local Government Area, has become a ghost town. The few that remain say they are having a hard time.
This road is leading to the market. You see canoe at my back. You enter canoe to cross. You cannot cross without canoe.
Those in need of medical attention may be in an even more difficult position as a private clinic in the community is out of supplies.
The sick ones, no one will cross them to come to clinic for their treatment. As we are now, we are empty.
Having seen all firsthand, the Director of Research, Planning and Forecast of NEMA asks the state government to immediately commence evacuation of residents to safety.
We are saying evacuation should be now because you don't know when they will release water. You remember in 2012, we got the information 3 days to the day they released water. And it was very devastating. So there's a need to be proactive.
The Executive Director of Anambra State Emergency Management Agency promises to make necessary arrangements within hours.
It's a top priority right now. Since yesterday, we started touring all these real bad situation areas. So in the next 48 to 72 hours, we should get most of our holding places ready.
The NEMA Director also makes specific demands regarding the sanitary condition expected of the camps, as well as the provision of safe drinking water and other basic amenities for the flood victims.
Meanwhile, residents of two communities in Esako Central Local Government Area of Edo State have been advised to take advantage of the government's evacuation plan to escape the dangers of rising flood waters. The chairman of the local government says that floods have displaced many inhabitants, damaged property and overwhelmed farmlands, hence the government's efforts to relocate residents to safer areas.
In June 2018, just a few months ago, farming and fishing thrived smoothly in Udaba-Ekperi and Anegbete communities in Esako Central Local Government Area of Edo State. That's not the story at the moment, as the areas are flooded now. The water level covers farmlands and the nearby River Ole is deserted. But that's not all. The water has also taken its dominance to the streets and houses in the locality. While some residents plan to seek safety and shelter elsewhere, others lament their loss and crave assistance.
Leave a dog everywhere, nowhere to stay again. Now make me the commode so. I know the commode before, but this one don't was. Both my house everywhere. Liver just soak everywhere.
Liver occupy everywhere. Destroy our teeth, destroy cassava, rice, everything.
Water they carry my house. All my property, they sell the water.
It's a problem. We don't know how to solve it. I put it to this road now. We're going away to escape.
The situation is of huge concern to the local government council.
Here in Udabana, we have spoken with the traditional leader, the Gegbai of Ekperi. He has said he's going to send his message out to them, and that if they resist coming out of this place, that he's going to impose sanction on some of them. So that's exactly what we are just believing. Now we are appealing to them. We are also appealing to our friends, our sons and daughters who are outside to talk to their parents to leave this place because of the epidemic that may just follow because of this disaster, this flooding.
The authorities have taken steps to protect the residents.
We made provisions for how to accommodate them, how to relocate them. Although we know many of them don't want to live there because they call the place their ancestral home. But for those who are ready to move, we are ready with everything. We are ready to take them out of the water. We fly boats. We have vehicles that will move them to the RDP camp. If the place is filled up, we also have other areas, designated areas around the local government where we can keep them.
As safety seems to be high on the list of the local government, it's busy days ahead for all sides interested in averting the dangers the flood in Udaba Ekperi and environs could bring. Jessica Olubuse, Channels Television News.
And still on the subject, heavy water from rivers Niger and Benue, which are already overflowing their banks, is already wreaking havoc in Bayelsa and Jigawa states, where hundreds of people have been forced out of their homes. In Jigawa state, for instance, at least 25 people have died and over 280 communities submerged, with more than 60,000 hectares of farmland swept away in 14 local government areas. While in Bayelsa state, residents of Ogwea and Ekweremor local government areas are counting their losses and want the federal government to come to their aid.
The challenge of flooding is no longer new to most communities in Nigeria, especially when there's a rise in water level. In Bayelsa State, this disaster has not only displaced residents, it has also destroyed their source of livelihood.
The farms are destroyed, no food, no fish, because there's no way for you to survive. So government used to come and give us some food.
What we need is soil protection and self-filling. That is our problem. Let them come and self-fill the community and give us food to eat. Give us drinking water, materials.
According to the deputy governor, flooding in Bayelsa State is an annual occurrence which cannot be stopped but controlled.
The water will always come. We can't avoid that. That's nature, and it will come. But we must prepare for it. And certain things are beyond the state. So the recommendation after 2012, which was the last recorded highest peak of water rise in our area, that we should have shelter stations.
The story is not different in Jigawa State, as over 200 communities have been submerged and several lives lost as a result of the disaster. The helpless residents have since been calling for help. The state deputy governor, Ibrahim Hassan, visits some of the affected areas with relief materials for the victims.
The main concern now is to provide transportation for villages that have been completely cut off. Villages have absolutely no access to the outside world because of the fact that cut off and circled by water. Providing canoes, and of course also to prevent an outbreak of cholera and COVID diseases, to provide food that can be eaten at once.
The intervention by the state government may have calmed frayed nerves, but residents are hoping that a final solution will be provided to end their nightmare.
In part two, after the break, we revisit the national minimum wage debate in the face of a new threat by Labour to embark on an industrial action. Please join us again.